I want to say a hearty welcome to each and every single one of you. Mitakoye Oyasin, which means simply all my relations. That means as long as you're two-legged, we don't care where you come from, you're related to us.
36 years now. We started working with First Nations youth in 1986. Circle Tree Ranch was an adolescent program, and we had in the beginning, about 50 boys and girls as a total population, 3/4 of which were Native American, from over 15 different tribes. This grew into 250 kids. Now, fast forward from 1986 to the 21st century, we're seeing, third generation from those kids. Some of those kids are adults now, different names, different people, the same issues, the alienation and hopelessness of living on the reservation with very few options and not knowing their own culture. So again, it's still a privilege and honor that Amity is able to serve as many First Nation people as we do.
If you've come to Amity, you've arrived here to save your life. You need to know that you've just survived a battle. You survived this hell that you've created. And now it's about accountability and demonstrating that you're worth saving your own life, because that's really what it's about. You don't come to Amity or any therapeutic community to go on vacation. You come to do some serious work. You come to look in a mirror that will not lie. And the process of getting sober is very profound and sacred. So if you walk through the arches, be prepared to put in some work, because you are on the brink of saving your life. I can't make that more clear. I can't say it enough, because what we have as addicts and alcoholics will kill us.
Growing up on the Navajo Nation, on the reservation, you witness a lot of, in a nutshell, historical trauma. There's heavy unemployment, heavy domestic violence, hopelessness, depression, interpersonal violence, lots of addiction. I once counted on my block where I live in my neighborhood, there are, 12 suicides, there are attempted homicides, and it's within a matter of like 10 houses. So this is growing up as a child, seeing, these kinds of things, and along the way through a very difficult childhood and, a pretty tumultuous life, I picked up these things that I thought were strengths.
My life basically consisted of me suffering through all of my memories and flashbacks of things that I experienced as a little kid. I spent so many years angry, in misery, with my only, what I thought was relief was using drugs, drinking. I didn't realize how much my childhood impacted the decisions I made as an adult.
There was a lot of drugs since it's a small reservation town, and the oil boom kind of started to hit then. So more people came in, more drugs, and it took a really negative influence on my life.
Slowly but surely the drugs took everything away. Like, I had a career, I had independence, I was happy, single mother. I didn't want to go to prison. I didn't want to be a statistic for a murdered Indigenous woman.
Got a clue as that I was an addict.
I don't know if I'm guaranteed tomorrow.
In a sense, like, I didn't want my kids. I didn't want to be a mom. I didn't respect what it entailed because I was chasing the drug.
Do you want to stay stuck in the life you're living, or do you want to go somewhere where you're actually going to do something with your life and get out of it?
I knew that it was urgent and I needed help.
I sent desperate emails to my case manager, begging her to get me into somewhere immediately or I was going to die. I will never forget my first day here. I walked into here broken, completely lost, cold. I hadn't showered in days. Only owned 2 pairs of clothes and I was wearing both of them. I started my process here with full force, like running. I just wanted to get better, and I figured I only had 90 days to do it. Had 90 days to get my life right, get clean, get my kids back. That was my time frame. The more I worked on myself, the more I realized 90 days wasn't enough.
The thing that always struck me is that how easily First Nations people adopted to the community model, which Amity is. It's a teaching and therapeutic community. And we've evolved a lot over the years, but all the elements that go into making community, starting with the adolescents, they took to it like a fish to water. The ceremony, the rituals, learning what their culture was, because none of them knew their own culture. They felt like they were had no culture, like they were invisible. So they were always trying to pretend that they were Hispanic or that they were this way or that way instead of tapping into their own roots. We try to teach the real history of the United States here, not the mythology that's taught in most classrooms, and educate as many people as possible, not just First Nation, but all cultures, on the true history of the United States.
I really feel like Amity supports us to learn our own culture. They support us in learning other people's culture. We're surrounded by multiple tribes from around the nation and given the opportunity to learn firsthand from them, the importance of their culture, what it means to them, their traditions. I have learned a lot from my friends here.
The interview process where other students and a faculty member came in really helped me ease into and gave me somewhat of a sense of relief of what Amity was, and it showed that it was a therapeutic community. They opened it up by other members sharing their story, and it gave me a sense of relief because knowing I wasn't alone.
It doesn't seem as hard as it did when I first got here. Listening to myself tell and the tears that I cried on telling it, I knew I was ready. I knew I found what I needed.
Spirituality is something that I have struggled with all my life. So I grew up in the Catholic Church, but you know, God made me this kid that was so proud to be Native. Like, I was just so proud of it. And I didn't know, when I was young, I thought I was one of those natives with the feather and the headdress. And Navajo that's not Navajo Native culture, but I just was proud to be an Indian. So putting those two things together, Christianity and Native spirituality, there's some conflict there. So all my life I struggled with it. Coming to Amity, through grouping with elders and mentors here who understand and are I don't know, like open to the Native culture, they helped me to sort of find my position and my spirituality so that I can accept myself as a Native person while still espousing Christian beliefs. So
I'm learning my Native American history as far as spirituality, ceremonies, and it really does help me. I attend sweat almost as regularly as possible here at Amity, which is one great thing I like about Amity. They offer the sweat here. It feels I feel whole after that as far as my spirituality. And when I was using drugs, I killed my spirituality entirely. I was alive, but I was lifeless. I had that long thousand-yard stare in my eyes. Because my spirit was gone, I was broken.
For me, I feel like the most of my healings came in our traditional sweats and our prayers. I believe that despite what culture, creed, race we come from, we're all one. We're all of the same essence. I embrace that. And when I'm able to do that on a spiritual level within sweat and within my culture, I feel whole again.
All I can say is it's organic, non-GMO, plant-based. Love it, love it. I have no problem with that.
Since I've been here, my diabetes, you know, I didn't have to take a pill of metformin at all since I've been here. Here, everything that we have pretty much is out of the garden, you know, and it's really, really healthy.
They do feed us greens, but they do keep in mind that we come in here famished, you know, underweight, really did damage to our bodies. And even one of the cooks today kind of made a meal as far as that was really good for you, that didn't contain too much meat, but that was high in protein and it was delicious.
I was able to take part in all kinds of different forms of exercise. Tai Chi, Muay Thai, mindful meditation is actually a part of that. This place it's student run, so whatever we wanted to learn, be it yoga versus Zumba, then we could do it. The Amity would make it possible for us.
Within my first 3 months, I loved it. I realized how much better I felt. Not only with the diet, but the exercise. I felt like they went hand in hand. And it helped me release a lot of that. The aggression, the anger, negative feelings that I had. I'd go to the gym and take it out on the punching bag, or go run a couple miles, and I felt the release of a lot of it. It felt like weight was lifted. Yes, the diet contributes to that. It helped my body heal from a lot of the damage that I've done. One of the main reasons I chose Amity, especially because I was trying to get my kids back, was because it was one of the only places I could have my children. When I moved into the Mother's Hub, I was kind of uneasy. I had never really lived with multiple families at the same time, especially with my kids. It was a really good experience for me because I was able to learn to rely on other mothers. We learned from each other's experiences. The more that I was there, the more it became like a home to me. It was a safe place for the kids. They had their own area. We had our own space. I think what I'll remember the most about living in the Mother's Hub is the women, the kids. No matter how many kids came and left, I still remember all of their names. And I feel like people enter our lives and make an impact, even if it's just a small footprint. It stays there. And I've learned a lot from the mothers there. I've learned to embrace my children, to hold them, to hug them. I've learned a lot of patience there in a really nurturing environment. And when I felt like I couldn't take it or I got overwhelmed, all I had to do was go right next door and knock on the door, ask for help. They were always right there. I think that my kids watching me build relationships with these women helped them learn how to build relationships with their friends and with me.
The campus is beautiful. It is resort-like. All cultures are represented. That really communicates an air of respect for humanity in all walks of life. It's sanctuary.
You know, we have 65 acres I think we can walk around on, you know. They have their own little swimming pool there, which is a big help. You got volleyball, you know, you got horseshoes.
We have sports, the softball team. We play volleyball games. There's work readiness, which we all get together and, you know, do a task together, and that really builds community.
Well, for me, the environment I love is the bear hall where they got the guitars and piano. That's where I like to hang out at, you know. And being out in the garden, you got the mountain views.
It's where I feel comfortable actually sharing my story with people.
Well, I guess I kind of learned how to swim here because we always went swimming a lot in the summers. And I just like developed how to like swim.
It would still get really hot and they'd open the pool. And a lot of the times, instead of trying to test it out, a lot of us would just dive right in. And that happened a lot. I liked it.
Amity's really done a lot to change me, change how I approach the world, how I view myself and my life. And I really think that that opportunity needs to be opened up for more Diné people.
If you are really willing to change and you really want to change, Amity is where I found mine, is where I got myself a better life. I've built myself a better life.
This has by far been the most difficult, most rewarding thing that I've ever done with my life. I am grateful now for every day that I have. Every morning that I wake up my kids, and every night that I go to sleep knowing that I did everything I could to help people around me.
I feel good that there is a modality as a teaching community such as Amity that's available to people that will help people get out of that cycle of self-destruction and addiction. You know, that's the good news. You can change, and there's hopeful spots.
Day's journey, and I am glad. So